This lecture will be in several parts, and we're going to consider Hamlet, which is one of the most performed plays in existence. According to a source I have, there's more commentary on Hamlet than there is on anything else in the English language, with one exception, the New Testament. It's been formed numerous times. It's one of Shakespeare's rightly most famous plays, a personal favorite of mine, and there's just volumes that we could say about this. Any class that's going to take on Hamlet has to slow down a little bit and unpack some of its material. And in some of my face-to-face classes, I have taken up to 2 weeks to cover Hamlet so that we can fully appreciate it scene by scene. We don't have the luxury of that. And that's just to say that what you're going to be presented with here is but a sampling of what is available to talk about when we talk about Hamlet. We can talk about it from many different angles, and so by no means is this lecture going to do anything more than introduce you to some of the big questions that Hamlet raises. And specifically, we're going to look at this from the perspective of order and power, and we're going to consider some of the key questions and characters and some moments in the play that raise these issues, and we'll see how that what begins as time out of joint, as Hamlet calls it, has to be restored, and we'll appreciate it in that way. Before we get into depth here, here's just a sample of the several actors who have taken on the role of Hamlet. We have in the top left Laurence Olivier, who won the 1948 Oscar for his portrayal of Hamlet. We have to his right Peter O'Toole playing Hamlet in the famous Yorick Skull scene. We have Kenneth Branagh just below Olivier, who takes much of his inspiration in his career from Olivier. He has not only done Hamlet, but he's also done Henry V on the epic scale that Olivier has done. And in a recent film about Marilyn Monroe, Kenneth Branagh has played none other than Laurence Olivier. So there's some evident inspiration that now Sir Kenneth Branagh takes from Olivier. Below in the large picture we have Mel Gibson in his 1990 interpretation of the play, directed by Franco Zeffirelli, which cut several parts, as did Laurence Olivier. The only full-length feature presentation that has done Hamlet line by line has been Branagh's in his 1996 version. But what Gibson brings to it is not only setting, but he also plays up a lot of the madness in a way that few that I have seen really accomplish. He really does the madness part of Hamlet well. We're not going to talk very much about whether Hamlet was mad. In my understanding, he was not. It was an act. And he says as much, that he's going to pretend to be mad, so to give him a cover, so that he can gather some information on the king. So it seems to me pretty straightforward. And I'm not of the view that Hamlet does suffer from from madness. That doesn't seem to be correct to me, but others hold a different view. To the top right, we have a recent, as of 2015 in the summer, on stage, Benedict Cumberbatch portrayed the Dane in a London production. That production was so popular that tickets for the entire run of that play sold out in something like 20 minutes. Alan Cummings to the bottom right, also doing the famous Alas Poor Yorick sequence. There are many other actors we could have shown up here: John Gielgud, Derek Jacobi. Many actors over the years have done Hamlet, and it's considered one of the most coveted roles for an actor to portray. According to the text, Hamlet is about 30 years old. So if one is going to portray Hamlet, one has to be somewhere in that range. And some actors who have played Hamlet, like Derek Jacobi, later went on to play Claudius in later years. And so Hamlet offers a range of possibilities for actors who, even who once played the Dane, the prince, can come back and play Claudius or some other character later in life. It's a nice thing about the play. All right. Now, here's a chart you might want to pause and take a look at. These are the dynamics going on here. Hamlet there in the middle, and all these other characters with whom he is related. So if it gets confusing for you, you might come back here and look at it. I also would advise watching the play, and I'm providing a link for you to one interpretation, the Tenet version from 2009. Several deaths in this play. The first death that we see on stage is that of Polonius, murdered by Hamlet in the Queen's room. You could call it murder, you could call it involuntary manslaughter, because Hamlet did not mean to kill Polonius. He meant to kill what he thought was the king. But it turned out to be Polonius who was spying on him. And when Hamlet finds out that Polonius was there, he mentions that he took Polonius for his better. In other words, he meant the king. The death after this is Ophelia by apparent suicide. Then the death of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, whom Hamlet sends to their deaths after he discovers that they are out to send him to his. He switches letters and arranges for them to be killed at the hands of the English. Gertrude dies by poisoning during the final scene, and then Laertes dies from a scratch to him by a poisoned sword. Claudius is later killed by Hamlet, stabbed and poisoned, and then Hamlet, of his own wounds, also from Laertes, dies. So several deaths in this play. If you're counting, that's 9 deaths that we see or hear about from the characters that we have seen on stage. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern's and Ophelia's deaths are related to us by someone else, but Laertes, Polonius, Gertrude, Hamlet, and Claudius, we all witness those. So maybe this chart will help to dispel some possible confusion you might have in this pretty populated play. In the next videos, we'll get into the themes and questions that this play raises.